This is Difficult Terms, take one.
Over the course of many years of teaching, I've had to really wrestle with the term integral mission because it's described by some as holism or as holistic mission. It's described by others as just caring for the poor or justice issues. But I want to say it's basically the whole gospel. One of the Lausanne themes has always been the whole church taking the whole gospel to the whole world. And the whole gospel is inherently integral. The word actually means an indivisible unit, like integer, or integrity is a person who is in private what they are in public. Integral mission is mission to the whole person, caring for someone's soul, obviously evangelism, but also caring for their state of poverty or their state of health, their state of loneliness, their state of mental health. I first became exposed to this concept of integral mission actually as a youth pastor, because we read in the Gospels that Jesus, Luke 2:52, kept increasing in wisdom, in stature, in favor with God, and with favor with men. So Jesus kept increasing intellectually with wisdom. In stature, he was caring for his physical self. In favor with God, which is the spiritual reality, and in favor with men, which is the social dynamics. And in a sense, if a person, a disciple, isn't being affected in all those areas, there's something missing in the gospel. We look at the Great Commission, Matthew 28, through the lens of the Great Compassion, Matthew 25. In other words, when Jesus says in the Great Commission to go and make disciples and teach them to obey everything I've commanded you, he's including in that what he taught them in Matthew 25, that what you did to the least of these, what you did, you clothed the naked and you fed the hungry and you housed the homeless. And in our day and age, you took in the refugee, you took in the immigrant. All those things are very much part of the gospel, the visible demonstration of a proclaimed word. And so when we think about the work of mission, we're also thinking about the fact we're going to people who may need, some help in terms of knowledge. Maybe they need to learn a language, they need to become literate, or maybe they have some other need in terms of physical needs. And it's very difficult to attend to their spiritual needs if the physical is so painful they can't pay attention. And then they need to grow in, obviously, favor with God, and we want to bring them into a living relationship with Jesus Christ, which is what we usually call evangelism. And then in addition to that, we want to see the social dynamic. So that for the first time, ethnic groups will be getting together with ethnic groups, and unity in the midst of diversity will become part of the gospel presentation and part of the Church of Jesus Christ. One of the best illustrations of this was a pastor I was with in Sri Lanka, and we were driving to visit another pastor. And as we drove down the street, he said, "It is outrageous." I said, "What's outrageous?" He said, as we drove down the street, he said, "Look at all the litter in this community. There's a bunch of plastic bags and trash along." He says, "The church has been here for 20 years. If the church is in the community should be clean." And I thought to myself, that is a different measurement of what the gospel means in terms of declaring it in the community. Not just the physical, not just the spiritual, but both of them interwoven together. I always am amazed by the passage in Jeremiah 29, where we quote the fact that, God's given us a future and a hope. But we forget the fact in Jeremiah 29 that God tells the people of Israel in captivity to be a blessing to the community around them. So that in a sense, the gospel presentation and proclamation doesn't necessarily mean everybody's going to respond. But for the common good, as someone else has put it, we live out the gospel. So integral mission is really helping people grow in wisdom, in stature, in favor with God, and with favor with man. And for effective ministry, I think churches need to be evaluating their communities, the people they're trying to touch, and be asking the questions. What are the needs of our community? What are the physical needs? What are the spiritual needs? I live in a very secular part of the world, and I would argue in my part of the world, people need to see the gospel demonstrated sometimes before they can listen to it. They go hand in hand, and they really shouldn't be divided. we should always be concerned about the fact that we're not just trying to get souls into heaven, we're trying to get the kingdom of Christ into our society. That's what integral mission is to me.